All right, so you're ready for this. Today we're time traveling.
Ooh, time traveling.
Back to ancient China.
Oh, I love it.
And you won't believe how relevant this is going to be to today's world.
I'm excited.
Okay, so we've got excerpts from The Art of War by Master Taigong.
Classic.
Specifically, Chapter 40, Tiger Strategy. Seizing territory.
Okay.
So basically, King Wu, who is on this conquering spree, runs into a bit of a tricky situation.
Oh.
He's got this heavily fortified city to take, but there's another enemy army lurking out there, ready to pounce if he gets bogged down.
I see.
Classic military dilemma, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the advice that he gets from his strategist, Taigong, is mind-blowingly clever.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be surprised how much wisdom is packed into these ancient texts.
I'm ready.
So to set the scene for us, what's the historical context here?
All right, so picture this ancient China, warring kingdoms all over the place. We've got King Wu, this really ambitious ruler, and he's on a mission to conquer territory.
Yeah.
He's got this tough city to take, heavily fortified. And to make things even trickier, there's another enemy army kind of just lurking out there. Just waiting to pounce if King Wu's forces get bogged down in a siege.
So it's like a classic pincer move.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Rock and a hard place, yeah.
So what does he do?
He turns to his brilliant strategist, Master Taigong, for advice. And what Taigong suggests is really interesting. It's not just about brute force. It's about this multi-layered strategy that combines military tactics with psychological warfare.
Ooh, psychological warfare.
Yeah, I like it.
I know, right?
Break it down for us.
Right.
What does he advise?
So Taigong's initial advice is deceptively simple.
Okay.
Isolate the city. Cut off their supplies. Cut off all communication.
So essentially starve them out.
Well, he actually says, and I quote,
keep the cavalry and chariots at a distance to establish a secure camp with vigilant guards to block any internal and external communication. Cut off the city's supply lines completely so the inside cannot receive supplies from outside.
So yeah, basically starve them out.
Yeah, pretty much.
But wouldn't that just make the people inside more desperate?
That's a good point.
And more likely to fight back.
That's exactly the concern that King Wu raises, actually.
He did.
He did, yeah.
Smart guy.
He points out that cornered animals are often the most dangerous.
Makes sense.
And he worries that the besieged city might just launch this desperate counterattack out of, desperation.
So what does Taigong say to that?
He doesn't just brush him off. He acknowledges the risk and offers an even more intricate plan.
Oh, this is getting good.
To address it. He basically tells King Wu to divide his forces into three. Yeah.
Good.
But paying very close attention to the terrain and the enemy's movements.
He's thinking a few steps ahead, isn't he?
Absolutely. He is not just reacting, he's anticipating.
Right.
Like he says, leave apparent gaps in your positions to tempt the enemy, securing their confidence in a potential escape route, while carefully guarding against any actual breakouts.
So he's setting a trap.
He's setting a trap.
Using the enemy's fear against them.
Exactly.
Predicting their course of action.
It's like a chess match.
It is.
But with armies.
Yeah, this is high-stakes chess.
High stakes, exactly.
So by creating this illusion of weakness, he's manipulating the enemy into making a predictable move.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's kind of sneaky, but I guess all is fair in war.
Right.
And maybe in business too.
Well, that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Taigong's strategy isn't just about cunning.
Okay.
It's also about minimizing destruction.
Interesting.
And ultimately winning the peace.
Winning the peace.
He advises King Wu to target the enemy's strongest soldiers first.
Makes sense.
Leaving the rest demoralized and more likely to surrender. But then he emphasizes the importance of treating the conquered people with compassion and fairness.
I like that.
Yeah. Not just to avoid further bloodshed.
Right.
But to gain their loyalty and establish long-term stability.
So it's not just about winning the battle.
No.
It's about winning the hearts and minds of the people afterwards.
Exactly.
That almost sounds like early PR spin.
It's remarkable how much this ancient wisdom resonates with modern concepts.
It really is.
It's not just about brute force.
Yeah.
It's about building trust, shaping perceptions, and creating a narrative that supports your long-term goals.
Fascinating.
Think about how this applies to everything from political campaigns to building a successful brand.
Wow, okay.
It's all connected.
So you're saying there are real-world applications
Absolutely.
to these ancient war strategies.
There are.
Even for people who aren't,
yes,
conquering cities.
That's right.
I'm intrigued.
I knew you would be.
Let's dive into some of those real-world examples then.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've established that this ancient Chinese general master Taigong had some pretty insightful ideas about strategy.
So pretty insightful ideas, yeah.
But now I'm really curious to see how those ideas play out in the modern world.
Right.
Like, can we really apply these ancient strategies to, the challenges we face today?
Well, let's start with something that feels very 21st century.
Okay.
Cyber attacks.
Cyber attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
How does a military treatise from ancient China connect to the digital world, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly the same battlefield.
Exactly, but think of a nation's critical infrastructure.
Like what kind of infrastructure?
Well, like their power grids, financial systems, communication networks,
Okay.
all of that as the city walls of the digital age.
Okay, I kind of see where you're going with this.
And what's a cyber attack?
Yeah.
If not a way to breach those defenses,
Right.
to disrupt and destabilize from within.
Without a single soldier crossing a physical border.
Exactly.
That's like a virtual siege.
It is.
Instead of laying siege to a city with, catapults and battering rams, now it's all about malware and data breaches.
That's a really good way to put it.
So just like Taigong's strategies aim to isolate a city and break the will of the people inside, a well-executed cyber attack can cripple those essential services, so chaos and confusion, and ultimately erode public trust and confidence.
Absolutely.
It's like a virtual siege.
I know, right?
Cutting off essential supplies
Yeah.
of information and resources.
And remember how Taidong advised King Wu to target the enemy's strongest soldiers first?
Yeah.
In a cyber attack, that might translate to going after high-value targets,
Give me an example.
like government agencies or
Right.
key financial institutions,
Okay, yeah.
to maximize the impact
Right.
and create a ripple effect of disruption.
And I bet the psychological impact is just as important as the physical damage, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Just like Taigong understood the power of fear and uncertainty. Cyber attacks can create this sense of vulnerability and panic, weakening a nation's resolve, even without causing widespread physical destruction.
It's all about leveraging those psychological vulnerabilities.
Right.
This is Taigong did by,
Creating the illusion of an escape route.
yes, to manipulate his enemies.
Yeah.
In the cyber world, that might involve spreading disinformation
Uh-huh.
or creating distractions to divert attention from the real target.
So sneaky.
Sneaky but effective.
Okay, this is getting seriously mind-bending.
I know, right?
But it's fascinating to see how these ancient strategies
Yeah.
are still so relevant in the digital age.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
And it's not just limited to warfare, cyber, or otherwise.
Okay.
Think about how these ideas apply to something as commonplace as a political campaign.
All right, let's talk politics.
Let's do it.
I am always amazed by how much strategy, and let's be honest, manipulation
Right.
goes into those campaigns.
It's a game.
It's a game, so how does Taigong fit into all of this?
Remember Taigong's emphasis on winning the peace? He understood that true victory wasn't just about military dominance.
Right.
It was about securing long-term stability and the loyalty of the people.
Okay.
In today's world, that translates to winning the hearts and minds of the electorate,
Yeah.
shaping public opinion to support your agenda.
So it's not just about winning an election.
No.
It's
Yeah.
about building a lasting foundation of support.
Like a king needs the loyalty of his subjects.
Yeah,
A politician needs the trust of the people to govern effectively.
that makes sense.
And that's where the parallels to Taigong's teachings become really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about the tactics politicians use.
Like what?
Carefully crafted speeches,
Yeah.
strategic media appearances,
Right.
even targeted leaks of information,
Oh, juicy.
all designed to create a specific narrative and sway public opinion.
It's all about controlling the message, isn't it?
It is.
Just like Taigong used deception to manipulate his enemies.
Right.
Political campaigns often use similar tactics to shape perceptions and influence voters.
Exactly. They might highlight their opponent's weaknesses,
Yeah.
exaggerate their own accomplishments,
Of course.
or even resort to outright disinformation
Come on, really?
to gain an advantage.
Wow.
And just like Taigong advised King Wu to leave apparent gaps in his defenses to lure the enemy,
Right.
politicians often use similar tactics to expose their opponent's vulnerabilities and exploit them for political gain.
It's a dirty game.
It can't be.
It makes sense, but it's kind of scary to think that these ancient war strategies are being used in the political arena.
Well, it's a reminder to be critical of the information
Yeah.
we're consuming during these campaigns.
Absolutely.
Being aware of these tactics is the first step
Okay.
towards becoming more discerning consumers of information,
That's a good point.
whether it's during an election cycle
Right.
or in our everyday lives.
So we've covered war, cyber attacks, and now politics.
We have.
It's clear that Master Taigong's ideas have a lot to say about the big picture stuff.
The big picture, yeah.
But I'm curious, can these ancient strategies actually help us navigate the challenges we face in our own lives? We've been talking about how these ancient war strategies from the art of war can be applied to some pretty complex situations like cyber warfare and political campaigns.
Yeah, some pretty high-stakes stuff.
But what about the everyday battles we all face? You know, the personal ones.
Right.
Can Master Taigong's wisdom actually help us with those too?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Right.
Because while we might not be, facing armies or trying to conquer territories, we all have our own personal battlefields.
That's true.
We've got tough decisions to make,
Yep.
goals we're striving for
Obstacles to overcome.
every single day.
Exactly.
So instead of a literal battlefield, our terrain might be something like our career path or our relationships.
Exactly. And just as Taigong emphasized the importance of understanding the physical terrain in warfare,
Yeah.
he also stressed the need to know your own strengths and weaknesses.
Self-awareness, right. Yeah, self-awareness as well as those of your opponent,
Right.
whoever or whatever that might be in your personal context.
So if I'm going into a salary negotiation with my boss, my terrain would include things like
Okay, let's hear it.
the company's financial situation,
Yep.
my own performance record,
That makes sense.
and even my boss's personality
Ooh, that's a big
and
win.
negotiation style.
Exactly. And just as Taigong advised King Wu to position his forces strategically, taking into account the terrain and the enemy's movements, you need to approach your own battles with a clear understanding of the playing field.
Do your research.
Exactly.
Know what you're getting into.
Know what you're up against. Yep.
Yeah.
What are your leverage points?
Good question.
What are the potential pitfalls?
Oh, there's always pitfalls.
What are your best arguments, and how can you anticipate your opponent's counterpoints?
This is making my head spin.
I know, but it's important stuff.
It is.
And remember how Taigong talked about using deception and strategic weakness to manipulate the enemy?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes revealing a small weakness can be a way to gain your opponent's trust.
Oh, interesting.
Or lure them into a false sense of security,
I could see that.
giving you an advantage in the negotiation.
I'm going to have to try that.
As long as you're not being unethical, of course.
Of course. Ethics are important.
But within those boundaries, there's definitely room for strategic thinking and maneuvering.
I like it.
It's about being smart.
Yeah.
And using your understanding of human psychology to your advantage.
So we've got knowing the terrain covered.
We do.
But what about Taigong's idea of cutting off supplies?
Oh, good one.
How does that translate to our personal lives? We're not literally besieging anyone.
Right. We're not literally besieging anyone.
Right.
But think about it metaphorically.
Okay.
What are the things that feed your opponent or the things that are holding you back from achieving your goals?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Let's say your opponent is procrastination.
The worst.
What are its supplies?
Distractions.
Distractions, okay.
Social media.
Yep.
That pile of laundry that needs folding.
Absolutely.
Anything but the task at hand.
Classic procrastination fuel.
And maybe a lack of clear goals.
Oh, yeah, good one.
Or a fear of failure.
Those are all great examples.
That could be providing fuel to that procrastination habit.
Absolutely. So to cut off supplies, you'd need to eliminate those distractions.
So like turn off my phone.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Create a structured schedule.
Schedules.
I know, but they can be helpful.
True.
Break down tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Okay, that makes sense.
And focus on your desired outcome.
Keep your eye on the prize.
Exactly. So you're essentially starving the enemy.
So it's like I'm cutting off the enemy's supply lines.
You got it.
Okay.
Whether that's procrastination, self-doubt, or even a negative relationship.
Right. So it's not always a person. It could be a bad habit.
Exactly. Of the things that it needs to thrive.
And this brings us back to Taigong's emphasis on persistence, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
He talked about the importance of maintaining a siege.
Even when it takes time.
Even when it's hard.
And patience.
So in our personal lives, that would mean not giving up on the first sign of resistance.
Absolutely.
Just keep going.
Keep pushing.
Okay.
Overcoming obstacles, whether they're external challenges or internal ones.
Right, because sometimes the toughest battles are the ones we fight with ourselves.
Exactly. Requires resilience, determination, and a willingness to keep going even when it gets tough.
Even when you want to quit.
Even when you want to quit, remember, even small victories can lead to significant progress over time.
Love that.
So we've learned about assessing our personal terrain.
Yeah.
Strategically cutting off supplies to our metaphorical enemies.
Starve them out.
And the importance of persistence in achieving our goals.
Persistence is key.
What else can we take away from Master Taigong's ancient wisdom?
Let's hear it.
Well, let's not forget one of the most crucial aspects of his strategy.
What's that?
Winning the peace.
Ah, yes, winning the peace.
Even after you've achieved a victory.
You're not done yet.
You're not done. It's essential to act with compassion.
Okay.
Fairness.
Yeah.
And a focus on building lasting, positive relationships.
I like that.
So even if you win that salary negotiation,
let's say I do,
it's important to do it in a way that doesn't damage your relationship with your boss.
Right. Don't burn bridges.
Don't burn bridges or create resentment among your colleagues.
Yeah. Nobody likes a gloater.
It's about finding a win-win solution.
When possible.
Whenever possible.
Okay.
True victory, in Taigong's view, wasn't just about conquest.
Okay.
It was about creating a stable and harmonious outcome.
So it's about more than just winning.
More than just winning. It's about the bigger picture.
And that applies to everything.
It's a lesson that's just as relevant in our personal lives as it was on the ancient battlefields of China.
I have to say, this has been a fascinating exploration of the art of war and its surprising relevance to the modern world.
It's amazing how much we can still learn from these ancient texts.
I know. Who knew that an ancient military treatise could have so much to say about everything from cyber attacks to personal growth?
Right.
It's like Master Taigong is whispering wisdom across the centuries.
I'd love that.
Reminding us that the battles we face, both big and small,
all of them,
can be won with a little strategic thinking.
A little bit of strategy.
A lot of persistence.
Yeah, persistence is key.
And a healthy dose of compassion.
Compassion is essential.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, until next time,
keep diving deep.
Keep exploring those ancient texts.
And remember, the wisdom of Master Taigong just might help you conquer your next challenge.
You never know.